Hey Billy, we're back. Tim and Warren here, and we're going to do another review. I studied your page a fair amount before we even started any of these recordings. I want to look at it now from a play with possibilities apps aspect about looking what can we do to increase your credibility, your social proof. Where is the real estate that's underutilized that we need to consider putting some elements in, and also what's the fastest and easiest thing we can do this week to up your conversion rates. So, the more I look at your website, the more I'm convinced that if we could pull this off, this would be really cool. Up here, your header, comparatively to your photographs that dominate each page, is this is relatively narrow and this is relatively huge. I was just thinking, what if we slid these three things over, TripAdvisor, your contact information, we slid over one little thing, and maybe we made this a half an inch deeper, and we put a round, or maybe even a square, but a round yellow icon that says, something like celebrating whatever it is, 47 years, and then it's something like with our credibility that says top safety record, or we make it a square and make it yellow, and we put the credibility line, we float it out here, make it italicized, do something so it really floats into this space. So because what we really want to have is no matter what page they come on, that shows up. Now granted, I realize that on the mobile version that's going to disappear, but let's just take it one step at a time. Let's look at the desktop version. And if we could float that out there, that would be great. Second to that, what I would love to do is create some a credibility icon. We've talked about top safety record. That could easily float in as an icon out here in this imagery, or there's so much room on this picture to put something and float it out here and make it big and bold. I'd have it relative, maybe 2 inches wide. It's some sort of big icon that says, top safety record. Also, until when we get down to the specific trip, I've got some more ideas. I still feel like balancing out on either side of this white space here. Your Hall of Fame TripAdvisor icon over here, and if we don't put something up on this thing, maybe you put your top safety record here. Looking at the heat maps that were sent to you by Thomas, it really reinforces the fact that the drop off of people looking at content more than halfway down, it drops off over 50%. So really we need to really be selling them up there. So I'd really like to see something up here, and along the lines of credibility. This is really what I'm interested in on this overall page, which has numerous trips. So now let's just assume that I've heard about the Bighorn and that that's an awesome trip, and I'm interested in doing the full day. And so we're just going to click on that one. Again, we've got these massive photos with enormous white space, which is the perfect place to put a big icon. And one of the things that this is one of your most popular trips. I know it's your half day and your full day. You can actually have an icon or just a square or anything or just text floating out here that says. In fact, I've looked at some of your content. Best value. Most popular, one of our most popular trips. We should be utilizing this white space around these photographs to emphasize, especially when we get down to the individual trip space. It should be very easy to float some text over these pictures, and I could see something floating here, something here. It could be black text. It would really pop. But best value. Most popular would be one of the things I would look at. Again, when we get down here, looking at this, and one of the things I thought about when I realized there's the official ratings of classes and what's rated intermediate, but down here below you specifically say that this trip is suitable for first timers or experienced rafters alike. I think that should be emphasized a little bit more, because if I was a newbie and I was coming here, especially if I had a family, and maybe I've rafted before, and I'd like to do this one, but I'm reluctant because it's rated intermediate. If I saw maybe below in a parentheses it would say beginner to experienced, or something that would help me better understand this, or again a box or something, a little icon or something that says ideal for beginner to experienced up here. The other thing that's you've got going on this trip, which at full days, it's hidden in the text, but it doesn't hurt to reemphasize it. I would say delicious lunch included, and put that delicious riverside lunch included, or something like that, because it is an element involved with this. Another thing I thought that we might want to consider on this, knowing that people, when you get over 50% down, something like only 20% of the total web visitors ever make it down this far. In fact, even this far. So let's just assume that I'm a shopper and I'm still trying to figure out what river should I be going on, and are you the right company to go with? And so I'm still in that shopping mode, and I'm not in a plan my trip mode. I'm in a shopping mode, and in a shopping mode, I'd more be interested in more trip reviews about the trip. And then once I'm sold on the trip and you guys, then I would be interested in planning my trip. Another thing that I would consider swapping the location of trip reviews, and this is very easy to do, with this plan your trip segment. And maybe I realize you've got white against blue, and maybe they're going to have to change, just to reverse out the colors and to get to your blue and white contrast, but it shouldn't be difficult to do. One of the things that I know about trip reviews is that we want to make the impact that someone traveled before them and they had a good time, nobody died, and we know that people are super time challenged and they're hardly going to be reading the text. And since this particular trip is rated intermediate, but yet it is a trip that's suitable for first timers or experienced rafters, I thought really the ideal trip review would speak to that. And you've got one right here. This river was perfect for our kids, and the guides made it really fun. I would do, just like you've got the read more here, I would make these trip reviews smaller. I would just start off with, the river was perfect for our kids, and the guy made it really fun. And maybe make the text even bigger, and then have the read more button. I think less, I call them headline testimonials, where it's part or a full sentence. Maybe I went on a 2-day Gunnis trip. In fact, on this particular trip review page, I would only have reviews on here that was relevant to this trip. Now, I don't know the trip well enough to know if this goes through the Gunnison Canyon or not. But you've got a trip review that talks about the Gunnison Gorge raft trip. Only trip reviews on this page should be relevant to this trip. Third, so we've got headline testimonials, relevant testimonials, and third, pictures of people do a lot. And you don't even have to have the pictures of Jesse, Ann, and Ivy. But I would get some pictures of some people and stick them next to it. I mean, what if you had the short, and this one's perfect. This is my first ever river rafting trip, and Arkansas River Tours made it so memorable. Perfect. It speaks to the first timer. It speaks that this was a doable trip for them. I'd get rid of the thank you so much, and I have the picture of Jessie right here and then her name. We've got the space. A small little picture. People relate to pictures of people that look like them. And so, especially if you had a picture of a family picture here, and maybe Jesse's who knows, is maybe a little overweight and middle age, and the typical person who's loved to do it but not sure they can. Very powerful stuff. So let's move on. Let's assume that I've made this choice on this trip. Again, just to reiterate on the credibility icons, I want to make sure we've got our top safety record, Hall of Fame, best value, most popular, beginner to intermediate. If we could add that either below here or as a little splash icon here, ideal for beginner to intermediate and intermediate, however you want to language it. And we got to get the defining credibility statement on here, whether it's floating out here or it's up here in this headline. We got to have that in place. So let's move to the trip itself and take a look at the booking procedure. So now I'm in the booking procedure, and we're going to take a look at this. Just a second here. I want to make sure I've got my coupon code. Okay, we're going to do 2 adults, and we're going to do 2 children, and we're going to fill this in automatically. And we're not going to do any extras because I know that it's charging me, and sold out is it's fine. So we're going to move ahead on this, and we're going to do the 9 a.m. So on this page here, now we've moved into the booking platform, which is the very first critical step of the transactional process. And my question to you would be, what can we do here? This is a massive space that's ideal for putting in some things to help reinsure that I'm making a good purchase. And I realize that this may be a generic type of page. Maybe you can customize it by trip, but I would want to have something again in here that icon, to just reconfirm, the top safety record icon, if that was floating out here, and if we had something specific about this trip, that would be here. Maybe it's a credibility statement, the celebrating 47 years. Remember, this is the most critical time in the transactional process. They've got their credit card in their hand, and this is where people back out of deals. This is why shopping cart abandonment is so high, is because they start having doubts. And so what we need to do is to make them feel comfortable and that they're on the right path. And so I would be looking to see what can we put in here, and in addition to there, I would have something in here. Now you see they've got the secure SSL encryption. That's nice. But I would wonder, could we put something else down here? Could we put because these are pieces of art. Could we put the celebrating 47 years? What can we put down here to reinforce that you're a top company? And ask me about a satisfaction guarantee. This is something I want to talk to you about tomorrow. We may not be able to put it on for this season. So it's something to think about. This continue button down here, honestly, I found it, it took me a while at first to find it. I realize it's green, but in the lower right hand corner, it's not in a place where I'd want to, my eyes are going naturally. I'm just wondering, could it be floated out here? Could we put it up in here? I realize that they're wanting, people are filling out information. They're going down this. They're doing this. They're probably coming back. They're probably going left, right, and down would be my sense. Could we make this bigger? Could this be floating out here in the text? Is there something we can do? Because honestly, the very first time I did not see that, which is pretty ridiculous. I look at web pages all the time. So I'm going to put in my code and so that I don't get charged. And this time I'm going to see if I can do it without even putting in a credit card. Unlock. Oops, let's spell it properly. And apply the code, and they're going to do 0, and we're going to check that, and we're just going to continue to see if it will let us to do that. But again, on this page here, it's actually you got about a 4-step process, but this is the one. This is if anywhere they're going to leave, it's going to be here and the previous page. This is where shopping cart abandonment happens, and This is where I feel like we need to have some sort of icon here. I realize that powered by Zola, they probably will want to have that. We probably don't have any choice on this. But man, if we could put some sort of credibility indicator here, and to me, this is where the satisfaction guarantee would come into place. I suspect you probably already have it operationally, but you're not promoting it. If there was another way to maybe add something up here, what I want to know from you is what can we change or add on this page. Certainly, I bet you we could put something down here, or maybe float something down here. Even if it was the celebrating 47 years in the top safety record, maybe generic statements like that in a form of a badge or an icon that we can float in key areas. I'm willing to bet if we picked up a 2% increase in conversion and reduced our shopping cart abandonment by 3%, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. So it's really worth exploring and seeing what's possible. So I'm going to see if it'll reserve this. Okay, so we're still in the terms and conditions. So it hasn't. I don't know if it's gone through or not. I would wonder what we could do here. Terms and conditions. I don't know if there's something we can add, another subheadline that makes it a little bit more fun. Something like again, our satisfaction guarantee. That's what people are looking for. So I can see that it's really, you've got a multiple step process there, and every step is an opportunity for someone to cancel. Now, if there was, I realize that the reason why you might want to I see, and I honestly don't know. Did the transaction not happen until after I filled out that information about that last screen? I don't know. If that's the case, I would want to make that one post-transactional. If it was pre-transactional, because it kind of looks like it didn't happen until I filled out that information, but I'm not positive. I want to talk to you about that. So every step of the way, we need to be looking at where can we create some more social proof, create confidence in the buyer that they're making a good choice. And again, we're looking for small little improvements and subtle little things in copy and little pieces of art that reinforce confidence, experience, safety, that you're making a good choice, is going to do wonders for your booking. So I'm going to sign off with this, and we can talk about it.